Organization says the outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda is now a public health emergency of international concern. After dozens of deaths and fears the true scale may be much larger than currently reported. As of the latest WHO figures, there have been at least 390 suspected cases and more than 100 suspected deaths. In the Ituri province in eastern DRC across areas, there have also been 8 laboratory confirmed cases, and the virus has now crossed borders. 2 confirmed cases have been reported in Kampala, Uganda, in people who had traveled from the DRC, including 1 death. The outbreak is being caused by the Bundibuju strain of Ebola, a rare and severe form of the disease. WHO says there are currently no approved vaccines or specific treatments for this strain. Ebola is spread through direct contact with infected bodily fluids, and outbreaks can begin when the virus passes from infected animals such as bats to humans. Early symptoms can look like many other illnesses: fever, fatigue, muscle pain, headaches, and sore throat. But they can progress to vomiting, diarrhea, organ problems, and bleeding. WHO says the outbreak is unfolding in one of the hardest places to contain a virus: conflict-hit region with mass displacement, cross-border movement, and clinics where cases can go undetected. The DRC has faced Ebola before. Its deadliest outbreak between 2018 and 2020 killed nearly 2,300 people. Across Africa, around 15,000 people have died from Ebola over the past 50 years. But the outbreak has not yet been declared a pandemic emergency. For now, health teams are racing to isolate cases and stop it from spreading further. An Ebola outbreak in Africa has been declared an international.
All right, so you heard it. Okay. Ebola. Okay. All right, and this is not medical misinformation. All right. It's just basically given a this is actually a from the Daily Mail. It's not my words. It's just I'm not going to state anything about much on it, because I know how YouTube gets down. But anyway, this has been an update on the medical emergency that's happening in Africa, and they're now putting travel restrictions up. Okay, and over 100 people have died from this. They say 500 infected so far. All right, so the Lord is bringing judgment left and right, and now it's the pestilence that the Lord is bringing into the world. We just had the hantavirus, the norovirus within the same month, and now this. Okay, the Ebola. All right. Okay, so we'll go to the scriptures here and see what the Bible has to say about it. All right. So let's go to Revelation chapter 6. Okay. And all of this, Revelation chapter 6, when you read it, is speaking of the nation of Edom. Okay. All right. So I guess we'll start at 6 and 4. It says, Revelation 6 and 4, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him. Power, okay, that sat thereon. Okay, the horse that was red is Esau, Edom. When you go to Genesis chapter 25, all right, in 21, Esau was red and hairy like a red, came out red and like a hairy garment. All right. Okay. So this is who this is talking about. The Bible's written in code. All right. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Okay. As if you are paying attention to the history of America, we've been at war since the foundation of America. Okay. We've been at war. Okay. They're the ones who took peace from the earth. All right, they put sanctions on everyone, and they seek to, their whole MO is to obtain resources. All right, okay, and by any means necessary, replacing, doing coup d'etats, sending in military, and doing destroying a country economically, so that they can come swoop in and bargain for the resources. You understand? So, and there went out another horse that was red, and the power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. This great sword was given to him from Isaac. All right, his father Esau. All right, okay, and it would allow them to be able to conquer and gain the dominion of the earth, in which the so-called white man has dominion, that he is Esau, of the whole planet Earth. Okay, from EU in NATO, they reformed through the Treaty of Rome. They reformed the Roman Empire all over again. It's pretty much reincarnated all over again. The pagan Roman Empire. Okay, all right. So that's what it is about. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. All right. Okay, so this judgment of the black horse is also Esau, Edom. All right, let's read on. And heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." Okay, this is famine. This is signifying famine, and it's going to get so bad out here that it's going to take a day's wages. All right, that's what this penny symbolizes, a denarius, a day's wages, in order to get a loaf of bread. Okay, that's what that's saying. All right, that's how bad it's going to get in famine. And 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou not hurt the oil and the wine. That's the truth. All right. All right, the oil is the truth of the scriptures. All right, and the prophets. All right, verse 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And look, I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And this is what this is all about here in this video. A pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him. All right, Esau, Edom is symbolized as death and hell, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, that would be America, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. All right, if you recognize Klaus Schwab, he has stated that there will be a polycrisis. All right, many you can look that up, polycrisis, Klaus Schwab. There'll be many events that will happen, all right, in order to bring in their new world order. Okay, and you have to recognize that they do have control over all the viruses in the world at the CDC. All right, I'm not stating what has happened, because all of this is the will of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, and the Lord has is using Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, as his sword. All right, he has a great sword, right, in different ways, even using pestilences. All right, a biological warfare as well. All right, so this is what's happening in the earth. These pestilence are being brought forth. Okay, so read that again. And looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with the hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. All right, and that's what's going to eventually happen. All right, when all hell breaks loose, and these pestilences and civil war breaks loose, what happens is when things slow down, all right, nobody is working, then you're going to see the beasts of the earth come out. Your bears, your mountain lions, they're going to come down from where they're at into our habitat. All right, if you can understand that, because that's what's going to happen. That's what happens. It's just a natural cause and effect. All right, when things stop, they get silent, there's no grinding of jobs and work going on. That's when you're going the Lord's bring forth these animals. All right, it's going to be a natural cause and effect, and they're going to be devouring people as well in judgment. All right, but Esau, Edom is that death and hell, because they have the power with these diseases. They can use them. Even right now, there is a tick that has been released in Texas somewhere. And when you get bit by this tick, you will acquire some sort of a deficiency where you can't process meat anymore. So you won't be able to eat meat. That has to be engineered. You understand? All right. And Bill Gates did tell us that the next one will get our attention. If you understand where I'm coming from, the next one will get our attention. All right. So I'll read. Let me close out with this, with Deuteronomy chapter 28, and I think it's 58. All right. This goes to you Israelites, because you want the protection of the Lord during this time. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy power, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sicknesses, and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. And every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee, until thou be destroyed. So that's the reason why we have to repent, turn to the Lord. All right. And for, so we can have his protection from the angels. All right. Because these diseases are being released in the earth, because we're in a time of judgment. All right. So with that, I say all praises